Transformational.
Inspirational.
Profound.
Yeah, inspiring.
Deep. I wonder whether by the time you're watching this podcast, you were like me 8 years ago, who were very discouraged in spite of the fact that I have quite a good track record and quite popular with clients. But deep down, I knew there are all kinds of limitations in spite of the fact that I have lots of tools and techniques. And that's the time when I start going to NTL to experiment whether there's another way that I will become grounded and more centered about the way I go about helping organization. Through NTL, I discover it's not so much about the tools we use, but the tools within ourselves through this concept called self as an instrument. And so it's very much about getting into ourselves and to look at what sort of surface and what sort of approach we take in order to support the client. And so that is why my colleague Phil Mix and I brought this program over from the United States to make them available to UK practitioners. I hope that you would explore with Phil and I about whether this is the right program for you. But first of all, do listen to some of the graduates who will share with you what the program has done for them.
Paul, what made you join the program?
I joined the program because I was curious about organisational development, and this seemed like the best way to learn about it.
I joined the NTL programme because I saw it as an opportunity to learn from the absolute experts and leaders in this field.
I used to work as a leadership development consultant, and I found that both the client and myself were not seeing the change we were looking for. And NTL provided the opportunity for me to learn what it takes to truly help organizations to effectively get to where they want to be.
I joined the program because I was setting out as a full-time independent consultant. I was feeling a bit rusty and really needed a boost in confidence.
I joined the programme just because of the sheer excitement of joining the best programme in the entire business, in my view.
What was the biggest challenge you had to overcome to be on the programme, and how did you do that?
Well, the biggest challenge was about getting funding and also time off work. So PwC are actually very supportive, even though I funded some of that myself.
The biggest challenge I had to overcome on the programme was around time out of the office. I mean, it is quite a substantial amount of time over the course of the programme. And I did that just by careful negotiation with my boss and hoping to understand what the real benefits were of attending the course, which he accepted.
The biggest challenge for me was facing this question of how on earth was I going to pay for this? I had just set up on my own and was strapped for cash. It was really scary, but I approached Q&E and together we worked out a way how I could pay for it.
What I did was talk to Mee-Yan and then talk to my employer. I was absolutely determined I was going to do it. So I came up with a funding option where they funded part and then I funded some various chunks over the year, and that worked out absolutely brilliantly.
The biggest challenge I had to overcome to be on the program was to ensure that in that week when I was doing one of the modules, I was fully attentive. Along the way, I learned that unless I was fully attentive, cutting out everything else that could be a distraction, I wasn't going to fully get the benefits of the program.
The biggest challenge, I guess, first of all, comes in the volume of learning that we've got, the amount of material to get through. Also, the calibre of the faculty. These are the people that wrote some of the books on OD. And also the experience of the cohort and colleagues was a bit daunting and overwhelming at first, but the more you relax and go with it, it becomes a real great support network.
What are the 3 most valuable things, would you say, that you and your practice have gained from being on the programme?
The 3 most important things I've gained are confidence, boldness, and academic rigour. The confidence, it's really given me a newfound confidence in myself. The boldness is boldness in actually saying things when I'm with clients, where previously I may have hesitated to say something, and now I have not hesitated, I say it, and at times I'm absolutely blown away with the impact of it. Lastly, it's the academic rigour, and I'm much clearer in my own head about why I'm suggesting things to clients when we're talking about design.
Sense of self, and understanding how I work with systems, being able to intervene more effectively with organisations, and working across systems that makes me overall a better practitioner.
Getting agreed upfront with my client or stakeholder exactly what it is I'm going to do to see me through the whole process. Secondly, the process itself, managing that, understanding it better and having clarity of vision. And thirdly, using myself as a toolkit rather than relying on the external frameworks and toolkits that we do.
Learning the skills of how to perceive and engage organizations as a system rather than one element of what it would take to be effective. Number two, I learned the skill of how to use self as the most important instrument in supporting organizations, individuals, and teams get to where they want to be. And third, I have, out of the process of getting involved in NTL, networked with very powerful colleagues and friends interested in continuous learning as to what it takes to help organizations.
Increased competence through the experience and the learning that we go through. And the second, probably more importantly, would be an increased confidence to experiment and just to play with these methodologies. And the third would be a fantastic support network from the faculty and from our colleagues that goes beyond the actual learning sessions itself.
A much more rigorous consulting approach that looked at data and evidence and then how that was fed back to the client. I think secondly, it was about really developing my own personal awareness and becoming much more tuned into that. And then finally, some really fantastic models and techniques which range from organisational diagnosis to large group interventions. And that's been really fantastically helpful.
It really challenged the way I was doing things. It gave me some really different thinking and some really practical sort of tools. I gained loads out of the stuff around the diagnostic. It gave me a fantastic navigational map to look at the organisation's health, which was great. And some amazing networks and of colleagues across different organisations, which has been, absolutely superb.
What recommendation would you give to others who are considering joining the programme?
If your life's work is about supporting individuals, teams and organizations to become more effective at what they do, NTL provides the practical expert skills you need to be such an effective helper.
Prepare. Prepare to commit the time, prepare to think and work differently, and prepare to be inspired.
I would recommend to others just to do it because it is the most fantastic piece of development that I've ever experienced.
Accept the challenge the programme is going to offer you.
Don't hesitate. Go for it. If you want to learn about yourself, this is the thing to do.
The first recommendation I give to anyone is to sign up now for the next cohort for when it comes along. And the second thing is when you're actually on it, completely immerse yourself in it, submerge yourself in all of the learning, because there's learning in every opportunity. If you blink, you'll miss it.
What's special about this program for us is that it's linked to NTL. NTL started organization development 60 years ago or so, 60, 50 years ago, 40 years ago. It was NTL experiential learning that was taken into organizations. Those were the original OD interventions. So for us, it's important that our participants understand that history and feel connected to it. We think it's special. We think it's different than anything that's on offer anywhere in Europe. If you think you might be interested, please get in touch. Let's talk about it. Give us a call or contact us by email. The sooner the better.